This lesson is for BSc 5th semester students. The lesson is from Physiology and Biochemistry paper. The topic is excretion. So this lesson is part 3 on excretion. In the part 1, the different nitrogenous waste and the classification of animals according to the waste has been discussed, and human excretory system including the structure of kidney and nephron has been discussed in detail. In part 2, the process of formation of urine has been discussed. With this lesson, the students will be able to know and understand about counter current mechanism and the role played by this mechanism in the formation of concentrated urine. Both the counter current multiplier of loop of Henle and collecting tubule and counter current exchange of vasa recti, and the role of urea in water conservation and regulation of blood volume and blood pressure. Blood is constantly filtered through the glomerular filtration membrane, and about 180 liters of filtrate is formed per day in the Bowman's capsule. However, only less than 1% of this filtrate is excreted. This is possible because of the water reabsorption in different parts of the renal tubule. Proximal convoluted tubules and loops of Henle are responsible for obligatory water reabsorption, and this accounts for 90% along with filtered load, and the remaining 18 to 20 liters of forming urine, it reaches the distal convoluted tubule and collecting tubule, and here the water reabsorption is regulated. Reabsorption takes place depending upon the plasma osmolarity and blood volume. Thus, the final volume of urine to be excreted is defined as 1.5 to 2 liters per day. The ability of the kidneys to produce hyperosmotic urine is a major determinant of an animal's ability to survive with limited amounts of water. Human and birds produce hyperosmotic urine, which is much greater than their body fluid concentrations. Human being produces about 900 to 12 milliosmoles per liter concentration of urine, as against his normal plasma concentration of about 300 milliosmoles per liter. South American vampire bat, it secretes hypertonic urine of about 4,600 milliosmoles per liter. The Australian hopping mice, which lives in desert, it secretes hypertonic urine of the concentration of about 9,300 milliosmoles per liter, which is 9 times greater than the seawater concentration and 25 times greater than its body fluids. The ability to produce concentrated urine depends on the counter current multiplier mechanism and the length of the loop of Henle. The term counter current refers to the flow of fluids in opposite directions in descending and ascending tubules of nephron or blood vessels of vasa recti that show parallel arrangement. Counter current multiplier mechanism expends energy to create concentration gradient or osmotic gradient in the fluids of medullary interstitium and limbs of loop of Henle. In mammalian kidney, two counter current mechanisms work together and produce hypertonic urine. The two mechanisms are counter current multiplier of loop of Henle and collecting duct and counter current exchange of vasa recti. In mammalian kidney, the first counter current mechanism occurs between loop of Henle and collecting duct. The arrangement of these parts and their coordination helps in the formation of hyperosmotic urine. These loop of Henle and collecting ducts not only help in reabsorption but also they help in creating osmotic gradient in medullary fluid. So the flow of the filtrate in opposite directions in these tubules and duct help in creating the osmotic gradient or concentration gradient in the medullary fluid, medullary interstitium. So this is possible due to the entry of sodium chloride and urea from the loop of Henle and collecting tubule, collecting duct into the medullary fluid. I have already discussed how the sodium chloride is reabsorbed in the ascending loop of Henle and the urea in the collecting duct and accumulate in the medullary interstitial fluid. And now let us see the role played by different parts of the nephron in the formation of urine. So here this is a loop of Henle. This is the descending limb of loop of Henle and this is ascending limb of loop of Henle. So here the filtrate, glomerular filtrate enters from the proximal convoluted tubule into the descending limb of loop of Henle. So the descending limb of loop of Henle is permeable to water but it is not permeable to salts. By the time the filtrate reaches the descending loop of Henle, its osmolarity is about 300 milliosmoles per liter. As the filtrate moves from the cortex region to the medullary region, the concentration increases. The concentration of the filtrate increases due to the reabsorption of water through osmosis. Reabsorption of water through osmosis and the water enters the medullary interstitium. So as it goes down the hairpin, a loop of the hairpin, then the concentration will be at maximum, that is 1200 milliosmoles per liter. While the ascending limb of the loop of Henle is permeable to salts but not permeable to water. The sodium chloride is reabsorbed into the medullary interstitium with active transport. So sodium potassium pump with the expense of energy, sodium chloride is reabsorbed into the medullary interstitium. So as water is not absorbed in the ascending limb, the volume remains the same but the concentration gradually decreases in the ascending limb. The concentration of salt increases in the medullary interstitium. Due to this, the fluid attracts the water from a descending limb of loop of Henle and collecting duct. So this water soon it is released. When the water is released, soon the water then enters into the vasa recta, and from there the water reaches the general circulation. As a result, the concentration of the medullary interstitium remains unchanged. Both the loop of Henle and collecting tube, they function in coordination with each other and maintain the osmotic gradient of the medullary interstitial fluid. Due to this, the isotonic urine transforms into hypertonic urine. The collecting duct helps in the maintenance of counter current in the two limbs of loop of Henle. The collecting duct runs almost parallel to the ascending limb of the loop of Henle. The filtrate from the ascending limb of the loop of Henle reaches the distal convoluted tubule present in the cortex region, and from there to the collecting tubule. Here the water and some amount of salts is reabsorbed in the distal convoluted tubule and collecting tubule, and the filtrate becomes hypotonic to less than 100 in the cortex region, and the filtrate, by the time the filtrate reaches to the collecting duct, it is hypotonic. So from this filtrate, water is again reabsorbed into the interstitial fluid, and some amount of urea is also reabsorbed. As the reabsorption of water takes place, first the sodium chloride and urea remain, and the concentration gradually increases. At the lower part of the collecting duct, some amount of urea is again reabsorbed into the interstitial fluid, thus increasing the concentration of the interstitial fluid. And water, due to the reabsorption of water, by the time the filtrate reaches, the urine reaches the collecting duct, it becomes hypertonic, and the concentration of this urine is about 1200 milliosmoles per liter. Due to hyperosmolarity, salts and urea are excreted and water is conserved. The reabsorption of water in the collecting duct is under the influence of antidiuretic hormone. Loop of Henle has all the characters of counter current mechanism. It functions as an energy consuming machine. It uses maximum energy at the thick segment of the ascending limb of loop of Henle for transportation of sodium chloride ions. The counter current systems which establish concentration gradients with the expense of energy they are called as counter current multiplier systems. This system forms hypertonic urine with the help of the juxtamedullary nephrons, which extend up to the inner medullary region. Now let us see about counter current exchange of vasa rectae. Vasa rectae is a capillary network present around loop of Henle. So this network is formed by the branching of efferent arteriole that comes out from Bowman's capsule. So the branches some branches form a loop-like structure around the loop of Henle, and this vasa rectae consists of two limbs, a descending limb and ascending limb. The two limbs lie parallel to each other, and the flow of blood is in opposite directions in the two limbs of vasa rectae, and thus they form the counter current channels. The wall of the vasa recta is thin and the lumen is wide. The descending limb of the vasa rectae, it travels from the cortex region to the medullary region. As it passes down, as the blood flows down to the medulla, it releases water to the medullary interstitium, but it retains the salt. It retains the sodium chloride. With this, the concentration of the blood in the descending limb of vasa rectae increases from 300 milliosmoles per liter to the 1200 milliosmoles per liter. So now the blood enters into the ascending limb of vasa rectae. So here in the ascending limb, the sodium chloride is released outside to the interstitial fluid. So thus the concentration of the blood decreases from the medulla to the cortex region. As it reaches the cortex region, the concentration of the blood reaches to 350 milliosmoles per liter. With this arrangement, the osmotic gradient of the medullary interstitium is maintained without losing salt. Thus, the vasa rectae, apart from supplying nutrients to the kidney, it also cooperates in the formation of hypertonic urine without causing any disturbance to its osmotic gradient. The juxtamedullary nephrons help in concentrating the urine, and the presence of these nephrons is an adaptation to a terrestrial mode of life. In mammals, the high amounts of salts and nitrogenous waste are only excreted, conserving the water with the presence of these juxtamedullary nephrons. The arrangement of these nephrons in the cortex and medullary region helps in the formation of hypertonic urine, and thus there is a close relationship between the structure of the kidney and its function. Now let us see about role of urea in water conservation. About 50% of urea is reabsorbed and 25 to 30 grams of urea is excreted in urine. About 50% of urea is reabsorbed in the proximal convoluted tubule, and some urea is secreted into the thin segment of the ascending limb of the loop of Henle. So in the collecting duct, the urea is absorbed along with water. These mechanisms enable the formation of high osmolar urea gradient in the renal medulla, and this is responsible for the high concentration in the urine. urea is reabsorbed in the inner medullary collecting duct with the help of UTA1 and UTA3 transporters. It is a carrier mediated facilitated diffusion. From the medulla, urea diffuses down its concentration gradient into vasa recta. From the fenestrated ascending limb of the vasa recta, urea diffuses out and is transported to the lumen of the thin segment of the ascending limb of loop of Henle. In the descending limb of the loop of Henle and the descending limb of the vasa recta, the urea reabsorption is enhanced by UTA2 transporter and UTB transporters. The thick ascending segment of the ascending limb of loop of Henle, distal convoluted tubule, cortical tubules, cortical collecting tubule and outer medullary collecting tubule, they are impermeable to urea, and the urea present in the thin segment of the ascending limb is of loop of Henle is recycled to inner medullary collecting duct. When conditions demand water conservation, antidiuretic hormone enhance the urea reabsorption. The presence of the enhanced urea in the medullary interstitium, it raises the osmotic pressure of the medullary interstitium, which in turn promotes the water reabsorption. When there is more water and low levels of antidiuretic hormone, there is less permeability of the inner medullary collecting duct, and more amount of urea is excreted in the urine. Now let us see the regulation of the function of kidney. That is the regulation of blood volume and blood pressure. In turn regulates the blood volume and blood pressure. So it is done by three factors. One is antidiuretic hormone, juxtaglomerular apparatus and atrial natriuretic factor. So ADH hormone, antidiuretic hormone, it is also called as vasopressin. It is secreted by the neurosecretory cells of the hypothalamus. The hormone is stored and released by neurohypophysis of the pituitary gland. When blood osmotic pressure is high and the filtrate osmolarity is less than 300 milliosmoles per liter, antidiuretic hormone is secreted. This hormone primarily acts on distal convoluted tubules and collecting tubules and increases their permeability. As a result, water reabsorption occurs from the filtrate. Thus, the urine volume is reduced and the blood osmolarity, the increase in blood osmolarity is controlled. When blood osmotic pressure is less, pituitary will not release the antidiuretic hormone. As a result, the permeability of collecting tubule will not increase and water reabsorption will not occur. Thus, a great amount of water is excreted out through urine. The reabsorption of water is different in the distal part of the nephron in the presence and absence of antidiuretic hormone. In the presence of the antidiuretic hormone, the water reabsorption takes place in the cortex region and the medulla region, and concentrated urine, that is hypertonic urine, is produced in less quantities. But in contrast, in the absence of the antidiuretic hormone, when ADH is absent, water reabsorption will not take place in the cortex region as well as in the medullary region, and dilute urine is formed in large quantities. The excretion of large amounts of dilute urine is, in medical terms, it is called as diuresis. In contrast to that, excretion of concentrated urine in less quantities is called as antidiuresis. The vasopressin hormone, as it controls the more amount of water excretion through urine, the hormone is named as antidiuretic hormone. The hyposecretion of this antidiuretic hormone results in a disease called diabetes insipidus. The symptom of the disease is more amount of urine is excreted, which is very dilute. To compensate the water loss, the patients drink more water. In alcoholics, the water balance is disturbed and the dehydration occurs in them, and water is lost in large quantities through urine. The reason for this is alcohol inhibits the antidiuretic hormone, which is responsible for water reabsorption. Many diuretic medicines cause excess water excretion through urine and lower blood pressure. Now let us see the juxtaglomerular apparatus. Juxtaglomerular apparatus is a part of nephron that is next to the glomerulus. So it is present between efferent arteriole and distal convoluted tubule of the same nephron. This location is has very important function, that it regulates the renal blood flow and glomerular filtration rate. The juxtaglomerular apparatus consists of three types of cells: macula densa. Macula densa is a portion of the juxtaglomerular cell where the ascending limb of the loop of Henle attaches with the distal convoluted tubule. So this is the macula densa and this is the distal convoluted tubule. And next is juxtaglomerular cells. They are also called as granular cells and they secrete renin. And the third is extraglomerular mesangial cells. Juxtaglomerular cells secrete renin in response to stimulation of beta-1 adrenergic receptor and decrease in renal perfusion pressure, that is a decrease in blood volume and blood pressure at the efferent arteriole detected directly by the granular cells. And the third is a decrease in sodium chloride concentration at the macula densa. Often it occurs due to decrease in glomerular filtration rate. Renin enzyme converts the peptide hormone angiotensinogen to angiotensin 1. And this angiotensin 1 is again transformed into angiotensin 2 by an enzyme called angiotensin converting enzyme. The angiotensin 2 has three roles to play. It causes vasoconstriction of arterioles and thereby reduces the flow of blood in capillaries leading to the kidney, and it stimulates the water reabsorption and sodium chloride reabsorption in the proximal convoluted tubule. And the third role is it stimulates the adrenal cortex to release the aldosterone hormone, and this aldosterone hormone in turn it stimulates the distal convoluted tubule for water reabsorption and sodium ions reabsorption, and it stimulates to secrete potassium and hydrogen ions into urine. Thus, the renin, angiotensin, and aldosterone system pathway they act in a feedback mechanism and control the homeostasis. In association with antidiuretic hormone, RAS helps in maintaining the sodium ion levels in the blood. Antidiuretic hormone reduces sodium ion levels in the blood by causing water reabsorption, while RAS it stimulates sodium ion reabsorption and thereby increases sodium ion levels in the blood. When blood volume increases and blood pressure increases, atrial natriuretic factor is released by heart. So this atrial natriuretic factor, it opposes the RAS. RAS is renin angiotensin aldosterone system. It inhibits the release of renin enzyme by juxtaglomerular apparatus, and then it stops the reabsorption of sodium ions by the collecting tubule. It reduces the secretion of aldosterone from the adrenal cortex. These actions make the blood volume, these actions reduce the blood volume and blood pressure and thereby maintain normal urine concentration.